Mingfei, a young man, gets a message from a woman instructing him to locate the CC line at the airport. Mingfei receives a subway card and learns that the airport has a subway system. He's meant to get to the underground and board the train that would take him to Kassel College. When Mingfei asks the security guard where the CC line is when he gets to the airport, the guy brushes him off, thinking he is a beggar. Mingfei quickly learns that he is being treated like a beggar by everyone. And he also quickly learns that most beggars in America don't look anything like him. This further highlights the fact that he is Chinese. Just as he is ready to give up, Finger von Frings, a young guy, approaches Mingfei. He informs Mingfei that he is headed to Kassel College as well, and is aware of the next steps. Finger informs Mingfei that he has been repeating, but the typical degree takes 4 to 5 years, and he guides him to the metro. He currently has a F rank, and will stay at the school for 8 years. The train is the only accessible way to go to the college, he continues. In a trance while waiting for the train, Mingfei sees an unidentified young guy who addresses him as his brother. Finger woke him up and told him the train was almost coming before he could find out more. They are required to swipe their identity card in order to verify their identity with a security guard. Mingfei walks up to the sentry and says hello. When the guard learns that Mingfei is the new S rank getting admitted to the school, he loses his mind. Finger adds that Mingfei ought to have been picked up by an aircraft rather than a train as he joins the guard. The guard claims that if he had only swiped his card, the train would have arrived right away. When Mingfei does that, the subway instantly comes to life. The train quickly comes once the system indicates its arrival. Professor Gunderin greets Mingfei as the train door opens. Prior to providing Mingfei with a comprehensive briefing, the professor provides him a confidential paperwork to complete while he is traveling to the institution by train. Mingfei learns that the school is researching dragons and how to slay them after signing the paperwork. Mingfei shares the belief held by many in the outer world that dragons are a myth. That's when he sees the child from before again in a soul vision. The youngster assures him that what he has just heard is accurate. The child tells the story of how the Black Emperor Nidhogg, the dragon Raja's original progenitor, was slain on his own throne thousands of years ago. The dragon's enormous carcass was placed atop the ice-filled mountain by the soldiers who killed him. What is now known as the New Age began the day he passed away. When the dragon perished, the villagers rejoiced. The youngster declines to answer Mingfei's question about his relationship to the dragon. A guy by the name of Masashi Toyama enters to present Mingfei with evidence that dragons exist once he has recovered to his normal state. They present him with a scale, but Mingfei is not persuaded. They choose to present Mingfei with a 1796 discovered young dragon. Since it was discovered, the tiny dragon has been dozing off. As Mingfei approaches the dragon, it begins to move. The dragon makes an unsuccessful attempt to escape the glass enclosure. After a while, it returns to its slumber condition. The professor claims that the dragon must have been awakened by Mingfei's lineage. He continues, saying that they were fortunate to replace the nano container the previous year since the dragon's escape would have been devastating. When they reach their destination a little while later, the professor formally welcomes Mingfei to Kassel College. The professor tells Mingfei that studies have revealed that high-level dragons are dozing off all around China as they go down the corridor. When Mingfei sees that no pupils are there, she inquires as to why. As soon as the professor sees his error, he urges Mingfei to get down. The lecturer is unaware that today is Liberty Day and that the students are often engaged in war simulations. In the war games, the school's two clubs, the Lionheart Society and Union students, always compete against one another. Chu Zehong is the head of the Lionheart Society, while Kaiser Gattuso is the president of the Union. A fight breaks out as students from both groups suddenly show up from all directions. In the process, Professor Gunderin is shot and collapses to the ground. After a few minutes, the commanders of the two clubs are the only ones remaining, along with one sniper from each group. Zai Hong and Caesar resolve to go head to head. Mingfei can only see the combat from the sidelines, believing that everything happening is true, as it starts. The redhead girl named Nono, the lone survivor of the sniper, stops Mingfei from being shot. Feeling that Nono has passed away, Mingfei is furious. He takes up a rifle and a gun. He kills Caesar and Zihang with a lethal shot after taking out the other sniper in the head. When the trumpet blows, Mingfei is still wallowed in his melancholy. Medical personnel race to the battleground and begin treating casualties. Professor Manstein, another educator, arrives and begins griping about how pricey everything is. Gundarin arrives next to Mingfei, who is still struggling to understand what is happening. Gundarin reassures Mingfei that he is still alive despite his fear that he has encountered a ghost. After that, Mingfei is given an explanation by Gundarin. He continues by saying that the sole substance in the bullets used in the fight is sedative. When every student has finally stood up, Professor Manstein announces that he will be calling Principal Anju to ask him to end the war games. When he complains to the principal about how expensive the renovations are, the principal orders him to leave the pupils alone and allow them to engage in any activity they like. Anju promises that the school will cover any losses. The principal requests that Manstein give Mingfei the phone and informs the kids that he won't be returning this year. As Anju greets Mingfei at the school, he makes fun of him for eliminating two S-rank pupils. As Mingfei is a junior student in the S level, Anju claims he is not shocked. It is discovered that Kessar has hybrid blood, whereas Zehang has pure blood. Following the call's termination, Anju and another Professor Mance are heard talking about the necessity to prepare the pupils for combat through training. On the other hand, Mance contends that they require a capable prodigy. Though they still think Zehang and Kessar are powerful, the two are now taking Mingfei into consideration. They shift the conversation to the operation of the hill, which is scheduled for the next day. Yishang and Aiki, according to Mance, are prepared to jump into the sea, but they must use caution so as not to rouse the sleeping dragon. When Mingfei returns to his dorm room at the school, he finds that Finger will be sharing it with him. Finger gives Mingfei a tour of the educational institution. He tells him that the Yanlings practice magic with the help of various different skills. A teacher intervenes to stop the water from going on a rampage when a student attempting to use magic loses control of his Yanling and lets out a water monster. Standing before a tree with half of its leaves withering and the other half still nourished is where Mingfei finds himself. According to folklore, Mingfei is informed by Finger that Nidhogg, the Black Dragon Emperor, was vanquished beneath the tree. The tree still serves as the emblem for the college. Udirian invites Mingfei to accompany him back to his room when he sees the two of them standing in front of the tree. When they arrive at the hostel, Gundarin hands Mingfei his student ID card. Mingfei is informed by Gundarin that he will take the 3E test tomorrow, and that, should he fail, he would be returned home. But before he's brought home, his memories will be erased. According to Gundarin, it's time to assess his ancestry. He pulls out a recording box that has the sound of Nidhogg's roar. Imperium Yanling is the name of the recording. Mingfei is supposed to feel anything when Gundarin plays the sound, but he doesn't. There is no shout from Mingfei. He just stays his usual self. Gundarin thinks Mingfei's dragon genes have been muted by his human DNA. Before he can tell Mingfei anything more, he has a sudden epiphany and bolts from his room. Finger reports on the school news network following Gundarian's exit that Mingfei had no reaction to the Imperium. Finger then offers Mingfei his assistance in passing the 3E test by cheating. Zahang and Kessar learn later that Mingfei failed to strike a chord with the Imperium. Manstein receives a call from Gundarin shortly afterward asking to meet at the library. Manstein and Gundarin pour into the texts to discover the reason behind Mingfei's lack of resonance. They propose the hypothesis that Mingfei is descended from the White Emperor who opposed Nidhogg. The Black Emperor defeated the White Emperor in a bloody fight, and the White Emperor was buried with all of his progeny. Research on Mingfei is necessary, according to Manstein. if there is any chance that he is descended from the White Emperor. But since Mingfei is a wonderful child, Gundarin says he doesn't want him to be a lab rat. Manstein declares that until Mingfei takes the 3E exam, he will not discuss the matter with anybody. Manstein argues that he will be forced to divulge what they found if he fails the exam. He continues by promising to ensure Mingfei receives decent treatment. Subsequently that evening, an unidentified individual notifies Norma, A, and I schools to let Mingfei to pass the 3E exam. Mingfei appears in the test hall the following day. He already has all the answers to the queries they would pose from Finger. Finger claims that once they play a tape, they will get a soul vision. When the test starts, the other pupils start acting strangely. Looking to his side, Mingfei finds that only he and a female with blonde hair are not acting strange. Mingfei enters his normal trance as he is occupied with jotting down the response. Asking for the boy's name, he runs into him again. He discloses his identity as Liu Ming's. Mingfei is taken aback by the fact that his cousin shares the same name. Ming discloses that Mingfei is in his own vision and remarks that Mingfei is unlike everyone else. When Mingfei awakens, he finds Nono standing in front of him. Mingfei has been asleep for 2 hours, Nono admits, and he drew 9 answers instead of 8. Nono claims he is worry-free because he passed the test without a doubt. When Mingfei returns to his room, Finger gives him congrats on passing the exam. Has Mingfei chosen his classes, he queries. Finger queries if he selected Professor Mance's course. Then he discloses that Mance has spent the last 2 weeks on an assignment. There are rumors that he discovered remnants of an old dragon. Mance is overseeing the investigation of a destroyed underwater metropolis in another location. Suiting up, Aki and Yisheng jump into the sea. Yisheng and Aiki succeed in locating the gate leading to the abandoned settlement. Anju is told by Mance that they have discovered the Bronze City, but they still need the key to get inside. According to Mance, it had to be Norton, one of the Dragon King's palaces. Mance is allowed to use the key by Anju. Mance goes inside a room and retrieves a baby that is 100% dragon blood. He gets ready and jumps into the water with the infant. When he reaches the gate, he opens it with a baby's key. After giving orders to Yisheng and Aki, he heads back to the boat ship with the infant. Once back on board, Mance instructs Norma to conduct a thorough examination of the city. When Aki and Sheng enter a room, they notice a massive bronze pillar. While Aki stays and snaps photos of the pillar and the environs, Sheng offers to continue exploring. With her mask on, Aki begins to snap images, which she then sends back to the ship. Aki begins to lose consciousness a few moments later, but Sheng gets there in time to wake her up. He informs Aiki that they are returning to the ship after finding a vase. It may contain a young dragon sleeping within, according to Sheng. Suddenly, as Aki touches a little statue, the city's security system is triggered. As soon as the city's layout begins to shift, the two flee. In an effort to return to the ship, they begin to dash through any barrier in their path. Sheng claims that when Aki touched the monument, the entire city had to restart. The pupils who scored higher than an A are called to the emergency room back at Kassel's College. Mings tells him what he will need while Mingfei is in a trance before he leaves his room. For whatever arithmetic problem he comes across, Mings provides him with a cheat code. When Mingfei enters the hall, she observes that other students are preparing for their own briefing. 2 Execution Bureau members are reported to be imprisoned in Dragon Ruins and in need of the students' assistance in locating a quick escape. Mingfei discovers the girl with the blonde hair from the test is also there in the room. She is a rank, according to this. The teachers tell the students that before Aki and Sheng's air runs out, they have 20 minutes to figure out the city's plan. The pupils are urged to do every effort on behalf of their fellow peers. The teachers hope the students can finish their work before the allotted time runs out, and they get to work right away. Recalling the code that Mings had given him, Mingfei utilizes it to interpret the map. When Mingfei solves the map, everyone is taken aback by the code's ability to comprehend the map. To assist Aki and Sheng in escaping, the map interpretation is given to the ship right away. Examining the map, they discover that the only way out is to descend and leave the city base. The fact that the two have enough air to escape the city makes Professor Mance delighted. Eki, on the other hand, is disappointed that they won't survive due to a lack of oxygen. Eki feels better when Sheng tells her that they will arrive on time. Mance discovers a moment later that they neglected to factor in the amount of oxygen needed to raise the dew again. They did not compute the amount of oxygen required to escape the ruins. Mance realizes that they might not be able to return. He gives the order to launch the lifeboats and lower the ship to nearly the water's surface. Old Tang, a buddy of Mingfei's, calls him back at the college. Tang tells Mingfei to keep hoping for the better, even under difficult circumstances, after noticing that he is in a foul mood. Rescuers have been sent to the ship to attempt and find Aki and Sheng. Just when Mance thinks he will never get it together, the team tells him they have someone. After emerging from the sea, Aki brings Mance the vase. Sheng gave his life for her, she says Mance. Aki is suddenly dragged away by an unidentified entity. When the creature begins pursuing the spacecraft, Mance pulls out a weapon to finish it down. The creature consumes the missiles that are discharged into the ocean, after many shots are fired without killing it. When the missiles explode within the monster, they believe they have destroyed it. Abruptly, an arm extending out of the water impales Mance's helper. In the end, Mance affirms that it is a dragon, and the creature is even amusing itself with them. Mance claims that if they explode the remaining ammo within the dragon, it would shoot hot air in their direction similar to dragon flames. Mance gives the command for the ship to speed in the direction of the dam. Before setting off the missiles, they want to erect the dam between them. They are pursued by the dragon, but they reach the dam. After setting off the bombs, they are able to trap the dragon between the dam walls, but one of its fangs erupts and impales Mance. The principal of the institution now tells the pupils that the ship has safely arrived. Mingfei is commended by everybody for a job well done. Ziheng begs Mingfei to join the Lionheart Club after they leave the hospital room, but Mingfei grudgingly declines. Ziheng claims that regardless of the club he chooses, he has no ill will toward him. Ziheng is certain that Kaiser would invite him to become a member of the Union students as well. When doves are later released from the church, Ziheng interprets it as an indication that someone has passed away. Before passing away on board, Mance gives the principal a report on all he has discovered. In order to keep the kids' spirits up, he also instructs the principal to let the youngsters know that he is on a different mission. Anju informs his friend that the college has received the vase they discovered and will attempt to investigate its contents. As he instructs Anju to get Nono a new mentor, Mance expires. Next, Caesar sends Mingfei an email asking him to a ball that evening. Because he doesn't have any formal wear, Mingfei is hesitant to go, but Finger assures him that he can rent one at the acting club. Mingfei and Finger show up to the ball location later that evening. When Nono also shows up for the occasion, Caesar greets her personally. It transpires that Nono's birthday is today. There is a dance to start the occasion, but Mingfei and Finger don't have someone to dance with. In the end, the pair starts dancing together. Mingfei finds it to be an awful show, whereas Finger is having fun. Following the dance, Kaiser makes a powerful statement and takes the chance to ask Mingfei to the club. Kaiser responds to Mingfei's confusion by saying he may consider the offer before responding. Following the speech, the girl with blonde hair from the 3E exam gets up to dance with Mingfei. Since Mingfei is not skilled in dancing, the girl guides him. She instructs Mingfei to call her Zero when he asks about her name. The girl exits the auditorium after the lovely dance. Mingfei exits the hall after the girl does. Looking out, he sees Nono getting ready to drive off with Caesar's automobile. She is approached by Mingfei, who wishes her a happy birthday. Nono claims she is leaving the party because she is exhausted. Mingfei responds that he is able to drive when she asks. To unwind, she instructs Mingfei to take her to the summit of the mountain. A gang of armed men breaks into the school as the two head for the mountain. Students are instructed to defend the school by arming themselves. While driving to the mountain, Mingfei loses consciousness once more and sees Mingzi seated next to him in the vehicle. Mingfei fears that he could accidentally drive them into a ditch back on Earth as a result of discovering himself in Dreamland. But as they travel, Ming shows him the route. Is Mingfei prepared to confess to Nano? He queries. Show me the flowers is the second cheat code that Ming's offers Mingfei. When they eventually reach the top of the mountain, the two exit the vehicle. It is discovered that the attackers may be pursuing the vase that was just presented to the school when they return there. A conversation between an invader and a lady who seems to be their leader is observed. A short while later, a few of the trespassers are apprehended and placed under arrest. Manstein claims that in order to more efficiently hunt for intruders, they will need to remove the barrier controlling their powers. Manstein finally gives his dad a call to raise the barrier, who is the night watchman. In agreement, his father removes the obstruction, granting them complete command over their abilities. Nono informs Mingfei that they didn't want to inform the kids that Mance is dead, but they are aware of it up in the hills. She informs Mingfei that in the event of his passing, Mance has left her with a secret code. He had already informed her that news of his upcoming new assignment would be made public. Nono responds, "No, I'm not sad," when Mingfei asks. When the barrier is raised back at the school, the invaders' commander utilizes her might to conceal herself and her men so they won't be discovered. Manstein searches for the invaders at the same time with his void snakes. Since their major guys aren't present in the school, Gandrin says it's up to the pupils to put an end to the intruders. 13, one of the invaders, is operating alone in the interim. He has a different mission from the others because of their employer. They tell 13 that the wine cellar is his next destination. 13 heads for the wine cellar, using the security card he was given to open the inner door he noticed. Kassel turns on his Yanling in the church, enabling him to see and hear everything around him. When Kassel phones Zihang to inquire if his own issue has arrived, he declines. Caesar claims he's going to have his fair share of problems. The Lionheart Society is then told to leave the library by the professors, but Zihang is supposed to stay behind. The trespassers suddenly enter the church, but they quickly come to the realization that they have been discovered. Sakatoku Mei, the invaders' captain, introduces herself. She is, it turns out, Aki's sister. Teaser extends his sympathies, but Mei responds that because she and Aki were not close, there is no need for them. After playing a song, Mai declares that they will begin fighting as soon as the music stops. But one of the trespassers attempts to play a cute but sly joke. Strong opponent, he eliminates all the trespassers, leaving Mai alone. Why are the invaders using sedative shots instead of lethal ones, he thinks. It's Mai's responsibility to slow down Caesar, she tells him, while Zihang is being slowed down by another female. This is due to the fact that the pair presently poses the biggest risk to their business. It is she who is supposed to battle Zihang, who now appears in the library, disguised as a female. The instructors observing question if she is strong enough to take on Zihang in the absence of a weapon, because she doesn't even bring one. Zihang ignites his Yanling, an extremely rare and regal blaze. His entire surroundings burst into a raging inferno. The lecturers understand why Zihang's Yanling has remained a secret from everyone beyond the principal and his boss. This must be the cause of the request for everyone else to leave the library. To the utter amazement of everybody, the girl possesses the same power as Zihang. In the meanwhile, 13 encounters one of Norma's personas when he finds himself in the ice chambers. Eva claims that since he used a high clearance card, she is unable to stop him. They converse, and Eva even shows him the way to his next destination. 13 is told that his payout has increased to 5 million as he travels to his next destination. Before he can receive the last instruction, he falls into a reservoir and misplaces his phone. As he swims forward, he notices a door. As he is about to enter the door, he hears a voice calling him brother. and unintentionally, he opens the door. Return to the mountain, Nono tells Mingfei that she, not Caesar, sent the invitation to the celebration. Mingfei is then invited to join the student union by her. She admits that she wants Mingfei to join the club so she can take care of him on her own, to keep Mingfei from believing Caesar put her up for the job. It becomes out that Nono and Caesar are engaged in an arranged marriage. Switching the subject, Nono informs Mingfei that she typically receives a birthday gift from someone each year, but she is unsure of what they will offer her this year. When Mingfei notices that Nono is depressed, he utilizes the cheat code that Mings provides him, which brightens the atmosphere. The music begins to play. Everything finishes with a happy birthday Nono fireworks display. Fireworks go off. Nono feels better as a result, and she puts her head down, shedding a tear. It dawns on Mingfei that Nono was alluding to her late mother, who would typically purchase gifts for her. 13 finds himself face to face with a shark in another chamber of the school when the water currents drive him through the entrance. The shark swims, and to its surprise doesn't attack 13. 13 discloses that there is an aspect in him that terrifies animals. He heads for the research institution tucked down beneath the campus. He opens the door with a security card he is carrying. Anju is educating the scientists about the vase within the building. They scan the vase and find that it contains an embryonic dragon. They see, upon further inspection, that one of the two embryos that were meant to be inside has fled. Anju prevents the scientists from hastily opening the vase to see what's inside. He gives the order for everyone to leave the room while threatening them. This makes it possible for 13 to enter the room undetected. 13 sees a child addressing him as brother once more as he approaches the vase. He approaches the vase more closely and begins to take some photos. 13 becomes startled when the image recurs. He makes the decision to walk away from the vase. As he sprang away from the vase, a bottle dropped out of his pocket. His final directive was to fill the bottle with the solution, place it on the vase, remove its contents, and then put it back. Since he didn't receive the last set of instructions after misplacing his phone, he departed without doing so. A few moments later, an unidentified person, likely Anju, enters the space. He puts the contents of the bottle into the vase after picking it up. Then he slashes his hand and spills the blood all over the vase. Anju claims that Nidhogg is in possession of both the dragon and his blood as he departs. Here in the chapel, Kessar informs me that she will be declared the winner of the duel if she can take him out in 3 attempts. Mai pursues Caesar, but he effortlessly sidesteps her initial blow. Caesar retaliates against her subsequent onslaught. She increases the difficulty of the 3rd strike, but Caesar stops it once more. But Mai takes out a revolver in an attempt to be unfaithful. At that moment, a young child in the distance says some words, setting up an explosion that separates Mai and Caesar. As they turn to face the outdoors, they find prints of melted footprints on the floor. Caesar finds it surprising that someone might go by without alerting him to their presence. Caesar claims he heard the sound of the elevator. Based on the movement, he inferred that the elevator originated in the basement. What kind of creature is kept at the school, Mai thinks. Nono and Mingfei become aware that something is wrong while they are returning to school. Nono, on the other hand, reassures Mingfei that everything will be resolved before they even return. The lecturers observe that Zihang and the other girl are continuously fighting at school, and that the girl is even pulling punches. Considering that her goal is not to kill Zai Hong, but to slow him down. Conversely, 13 gets hit by Mingfei and Nano's automobile as he attempts to flee the school on his bike. When Mingfei and 13 realize who is who, he almost apologizes for the incident. 13 is apparently the old companion of Mingfei Tang. To aid Tang in escaping, the scene swiftly transforms into a fictitious hostage scenario. When they notice a child attempting to approach while wearing an energy shield, their strategy is derailed. The child is surrounded by an energy barrier that melts the bullets fired by the Guardians. They make little progress in stopping him. In fact, All they accomplish is exacerbate his rage. When Zihang and the girl realize that there is more danger in the school, they decide to end their battle. After praising Zihang, the girl walks away. Manstein phones his father to ask him to lower the barrier once more. But he tells him it won't help, because the King of Bronze and Fire is a first-generation dragon. Mai gives her employer a call to let her know about the latest events. When Mai watches a video that Mai sent her, she finds that the child is not Norton, the Dragon King. Constantine, Norton's sibling, is the child who Mei's employer claims they are investigating. It shows Nono Tang and Mingfei concealed behind some pillars. Tang admits that he didn't even realize he was breaking into Mingfei's school when he received the order to take the vase online. Finger suddenly discovers them behind the pillars and screams loudly. Constantine, who has been searching for them, learns about them as a result. When Constantine arrives, the Earth retreats once more. Mai learns shortly later from her boss that the Frigga bullets they use as sedatives have some limited impact on Constantine. The moment they switch to Frigga bullets, all of the guards and students begin to assault Constantine. In order to hide from Constantine, Mingfei, Tang, and Finger locate a pool and plunge in. The three choose to completely immerse themselves in the pool as soon as they hear Constantine approaching. When Mingfei looks up again a little while later, he discovers that he is in a crimson pool. After emerging from the pool, he discovers that his surroundings have changed. Thinking this to be one of Ming's visions, he sets out to find him. He sees a building on the Bronze City map and instantly knows that Constantine is the dragon child who is hunting them. He recoils in fear, but Ming suddenly rears up and kicks Constantine out. Ming advises Constantine to go locate his own brother and leave his brother alone. When Mingfei returns to reality, his pals have abandoned him in the swimming pool. Principal Anju enters at that moment and asks Mingfei to follow him. He offers Mingfei a gun and a bullet and leads him to an Overwatch tower. He claims that the bullet can kill any supreme dragon since it is composed of Philosopher's Stone. To reach its eyeballs, they only need to acquire a clear shot. Anju promises to utilize Time Zero, his Yanling, to slow down the environment so that Mingfei may shoot Constantine. Constantine changes into his dragon form a few minutes later. Anju informs the pupils he will take it from here and praises them for their outstanding job. He slows down time and attacks Constantine with his Yanling. With Lil Bro, Ming's assistance, Mingfei makes the shot. The principal instructs everyone to switch to live ammo after shooting the dragon, because it is now weak. As the dragon flies in Tang's direction, it protects him from the gunshots. The dragon refers to him as a brother before passing away. Astonished by what he has just seen, Tang starts to recall his time as a dragon. He recalls that Constantine is his identical twin. He experiences intense sadness and rage at the same moment, which leads him to ultimately confess that he is Norton, the Dragon King. Later on, after Tang hasn't changed into a dragon, Manstang's father questions Anju about why he didn't just kill Tang. Anju claims he wants to finally put an end to Dragon Kings because he is sick of seeing them imprisoned. He continues, saying that because he is now almost a century old, he needs someone to continue his responsibilities, because to his hybrid blood, Anju has survived longer than his contemporaries. He goes on to say that when a dragon loses a loved one, they get enraged all the time, which makes them incapable of thinking clearly. Anju feels very certain that Norton's tomb will be his rage. Anju intends to destroy the 4 Dragon Kings in order to get rid of Nidhogg, the Emperor. Finger and Mingfei are seen discussing the previous day's events in their dormitories the next day. Finger believes that now that the school's leaders are back, there is no need for concern. Mingfei declares his intention to become a member of the student union. At that moment, a student shows up to give him his club card. The student claims that Nono had his card ready and was certain that Mingfei would join the group. Principal Anju tells Keezer that he has a mission for his club shortly after that. Mingfei must accompany him on the mission as well. Anju calls for Mingfei after the principal gives her the assignment. He tells Mingfei about their upcoming mission. Fearing for his life, Mingfei protests that he does not want to leave. But Nono comes and reassures him that she would look after him like a big sister does. Mingfei agrees to go on the expedition with them, but Kassel demands that they prepare him for it in the following 2 months. Mingfei receives training in a variety of areas throughout the course of the following 2 months, including diving, martial arts, hand-to-hand fighting, endurance, and stamina. Feeling defeated when his training is over, Mingfei offers Finger his S-rank card so he may purchase anything he wants in the event that he passes away. Like any other Finger, he uses the card to place orders right away. When Finger returns the card, Mingfei realizes he was mistaken to be shocked by Finger's behavior. Finger reassures him that everything will work out and gives him encouragement. This gives Mingfei a renewed sense of self-assurance. Finger shows that although it is forbidden for couples to dive together, Aki and Sheng were able to do so since they had never made a formal relationship announcement. Mingfei understands that Nono and Caesar can't go in together for the task. To get him ready for the mission at hand, Norton has called for Samson, one of his servant dragons. Mingfei, Nono Zero, and Caesar are escorted to the ship for their mission shortly afterward. Their mission is known as Operation Bronze. Manstein tells them that no regular dragon can defeat them since the ship is now more equipped than it was. He discloses that they now possess a sophisticated torpedo that is capable of seriously harming a dragon. Their strategy is to retake Bronze City and destroy it before Norton has a chance to seize control of it. They think that in order for Norton to reappear with his full power, he will need to return to the city and change into a cocoon. Manstein tells them about the plans for the dive. When they are teenagers, Nono and Mingfei will dive in headfirst to locate the cocoon and blow it to Kingdom Come. As Mingfei gets ready, Nono gives him all the information he requires on the outfit. He is told that in the event of an issue, the spacecraft can utilize the awareness line tied to them to pull them back. The dude jumps into the water a little while later. When Mingfei arrives to the gate, he is expected to activate it by pouring pure blood from a jar onto it. At that moment, the gate bites his finger, but it releases its hold as it detects a noticeable flavor of dragon blood. Before they enter the city, Mingfei wraps his finger with a piece of cloth as the gate opens. When they reach a hallway devoid of water, the two realize that the air is breathable. In order to preserve oxygen, they open their mask and carry out their mission. They are able to choose which direction to proceed with the aid of a dice that Manstein gives them. They continue to go where the dice leads them. Mingfei and Nana pass through a room that shows how dragons and humans have evolved over time. Shortly after, they discover themselves at the identical pillar that Aki and Sheng discovered on their last visit. They proceed beyond the location of the pillar and into a room that has a large statue that was constructed in Norton's honor. Nono concludes that the location of the king's palace cannot be the same as the site of the sacrifices he was given. They plummet to the depths of the sea beneath them. They discover that they are positioned within a cemetery belonging to those who have fought the Dragon King. This was thousands of years ago, before the city was buried beneath the sea. They locate a second gate, which they open using Mingfei's blood. They lose contact with the ship as a result of this, due to the disconnect in their awareness line. Without delay, Kieser and Manstein employ their abilities to locate their allies. Nono and Mingfei tumble into an uncharted area of the city in the meanwhile. They approach the building they see in front of them and enter to look inside. Nono claims she will attempt to obtain information by using her expertise in criminal psychology. Nono learns that the structure they are living in is Norton's palace, and that he and his brother lived there thousands of years ago, after employing her talent for psychology. Nono discloses that she feels she made a mistake in bringing Mingfei to the school, which is why she chose to look after him. She expected Mingfei to stay for 1 or 2 days before leaving. Subsequently, Nono indicates that they have enough time to return to the surface and starts a timer. They suddenly realize that the building's lamp is on, and that someone must have recently turned it on. When they realize that Norton is in the city right now, they begin to flee. When they reach the gate that let them in, they make use of it to return to their starting point. When the two arrive, they find that the consciousness line they were meant to use to return to the ship has been stolen. They quickly come to the conclusion that everything has been reset in the city, and that everything is beginning to fall apart. To discover a different entrance that will let them exit, they return to the palace. Hezer wants to search for them after they return to the ship, but Manstein warns him against it, stating that their goal is to slay the Dragon King. Their goal will be compromised if they dive into the ocean. Nono and Mingfei are still looking for a way out, even though they are in the sea. Mingfei recalls the map-related chest code that Mings gave him. Mingfei turns on the code once more. They suddenly hear Finger's voice addressing them. Mingfei instructs Finger to use their bronze map of the city as a guide as they leave the city. It becomes out that Mingfei communicates with Finger by using Manstein's brain as a conduit for signals. Finger examines the map, but his F rank prevents him from having sufficient computer access. All of a sudden, he realizes he has a secret weapon. He gets in touch with Eva, who has been his closest friend, to request full access. Finger has complete access to the map, allowing him to study it in detail. He begins to explain to Nono and Mingfei the routes they must take in order to leave the city. Manstein loses consciousness in the interim due to a cerebral overload. Kassel takes command of the ship and issues directives to all crew members. The crew thinks Norton is attacking the ship when a dragon appears out of nowhere. Hezer gives the order for the ship to accelerate rapidly ahead. Zero quickly discovers that Norton is not the one pursuing them as the dragon pursues them. In the distance, they saw Norton standing on a hill. They are passed by the pursuing dragon, who then meets Norton. They find out that Samson is the dragon that is bothering them when they fall into the sea. When Samson and Norton cross paths, the Dragon King expresses gratitude to his devoted worker for his efforts. After killing Samson, Norton merges with his body. The team discovers that Norton took this action in order to avoid having to re-enter a cocoon in order to regain his maximum strength. Gaining full strength is roughly the same as fusing with Samson. Mai is standing off in the distance in the meanwhile. Her boss gives her orders to see that Norton perishes, but Mingfei should live. Nono and Mingfei locate Shang's body back in the sea. They learn that he was meant to return to the ship with this book, but he was unable to do so as he gave up his oxygen to save a key. Nono accepts the book and sends Shang off to a restful, eternal sleep. Mingfei starts to lose it as the city starts to fall apart more quickly. But he gets a reprimand from his inner self, telling him to pull himself together. His inner voice tells him that he never does the job. He is constantly dependent on someone to save him. Following a lesson from his inner friend, Mingfei gains the courage to continue. Before long, they reach a gate, but the city wall is beginning to collapse upon them. After spending so much time below, Mingfei's blood has stopped flowing, making it impossible for him to use it to unlock the gate. He cuts himself with the knife, but he drops it out of fear. When Mingfei realizes that Nono is going to be crushed by the wall, he removes his mask and bites his finger with his fangs. When the gate opens, the two are carried outside the city. Manstein succeeds in alerting the ship to the oxygen leak, which is the reason Nono and Mingfei require assistance. The ship instantly returns to its starting location and lowers a bell for assistance into the sea. Mingfei is knocked down cold by a blow from Nono. When Mingfei opens his eyes, he discovers that Nono and he are breathing the same oxygen due to a malfunction in his own suit. With their limited oxygen supply, their current challenge is returning to the surface. Simultaneously, Sihang shows up in a helicopter to help the team. When Nono returns to the ocean, she chooses to remove her suit and give it to Mingfei. Nono can still hold out longer than Mingfei since she is a skilled diver. The spacecraft keeps moving in the direction of Nono and Mingfei's position. Kassel devises a strategy to take on Norton. Zero suggests that they may turn the torpedoes on him. To ensure he doesn't have time to melt it, all they have to do is make sure they are at least 100 meters away from him. The torpedoes will strike Norton with great force and go at the speed of an aeroplane. Keyser goes to confront Norton on the ship's deck. Keyser is reminded by Zero to cover his ears since the blast will be too loud for him to handle. Keyser shields his eyes to improve his concentrate on his hearing powers, because he will be using them at that moment. To infuriate Norton, he unleashes a barrage of high-damage bullets while using his talents. When he becomes sufficiently enraged, he will turn his attention to Teaser, increasing the likelihood that Norton will be struck by the torpedo. Kassel momentarily releases his barrier as the battle heats up, allowing Zihang to divert the Dragon King as well. Zihang launches a royal blaze assault, but Norton neutralizes it with ease. Since Norton is the source of Zihang's strength, this is hardly shocking. Kassel gives Zero the command to fire the torpedo after noticing that the Dragon King is sidetracked. Nevertheless, when the torpedo is directly aimed at Norton, Kassel neglects to shield his ears. Norton is struck by the torpedo, which turns out to be a deadly strike. The group is relieved that the ordeal is done as Norton falls into the water. Caesar's ear begins to bleed, but Zero insists the damage can be repaired with a quick surgical procedure. Nono and Mingfei notice the diving bell in front of them as they are back in the water. They are relieved to have arrived at last. Mingfei is ready to enter the bell when Nono forces her inside, but Norton intervenes and snakes Nono with his tail. Mingfei recalls all of their shared moments as he sees Nono pass away in front of him. He considers how supportive Nono has always been of him. This anguish of losing Nono leads Mingfei into the Vision Land, where he finds himself on a raft. Beside him, he notices Ming standing. Ming tells him that Nono is slowly dying in the outside world, but he might still have the chance to save her. Mingfei gets all worked up over how Nono has always supported him. Mingfei expresses his wish to keep Nono safe and prevent her from passing away. After hearing what Mingfei has to say, Ming thinks there is a solution to his difficulties. He is willing to give Mingfei the cheat codes he needs to defeat Norton and also save Nono. There is a catch though. Each code gives him the right to a quarter of Mingfei's life. Once he uses 4 codes, Ming's will own his life. Desperate to save Nono, Mingfei agrees to the deal. Ming's is surprised that Mingfei agreed to the deal. He comments on how Mingfei wouldn't have accepted the deal given it was some thousands of years back. Ming says Nono has really changed Mingfei. Ming's adds that Mingfei has officially fallen into his trap. Ming's then gives him the power to stop Norton from using his Yanling, the power to stop Nono from dying. He also gives him the power to use any Yanling of his choice, and Mingfei picks Skeezer's ability. After getting these powers, Mingfei returns to the bell. He swims towards Nono and heals her. He ties Nono to the bell and sends her to the surface. Once he does this, Ming says it is time to fight Norton. Ming tells him that the book they found earlier on was created by Norton, and it contains the 7 sins. Mingfei activates the book and picks 2 colors, yellow and purple, to fight Norton. Ming tells him that he just picked the worst 2 of the 7 sins, and this will make his fight against Norton a bit more difficult. Mingfei uses the code to stop Norton from using his Yanling, and a fight ensues between the duo. As the battle rages on, Norton disappears into the abyss. Mingfei falls into a sad mood and starts thinking of the people that are likely to miss him if he dies. Ming pulls him to the Vision Land and gives him a pep talk. He reminds him that Mingfei's restriction on Norton's Yanling is slowly fading away. Receiving words of encouragement from his brother, Mingfei finally manages to activate his own Yanling, which gives him more strength and speed. Accompanied with Caesar's Yanling, Mingfei manages to locate Norton, and he launches a devastating attack that pushes him down the ocean. He is about to terminate Norton when he realizes that Norton is the same person as his buddy Tang. Mingfei hesitates, and this gives Norton the opportunity to start choking him out. However, Ming's provides a helping hand when he delivers a dagger to Mingfei and forces him to push the dagger into Norton's back. As Mingfei floats back to the surface, he remembers how good Tang was to him. How Tang was the only one that believed in him when no one else did. Mingfei sheds bitter tears as he continues to make his ascent. Back on the ship, Nano finally wakes up, and the crew gathers around to clap for her and Caesar. Zero notices Mingfei surfacing in the distance and swims over to help him. She drags him back to the ship. May, who has been standing on the sidelines, sees an already weakened and dying Norton surface on the water. She uses the philosopher's stone bullet to finish him off and reports back to his employer that the job is complete. Later on, Mingfei is seen meeting with a principal. Anju promises him full marks that semester, but he needs to write a thesis before he can fulfill his promise. He is to ride on the shared thrones of the monarch twins. Anju reveals that Nidhogg created the four kings as a pair of twins each. Anju believes that Nidhogg did this to make them more powerful. Anju then tells Mingfei that dragons appear in human form to get empathy from humans. Norton might have lost his memories when he escaped from the vase some years back, but that doesn't keep him from being a dragon king. Anju says he would have rained terror on the world if he had not been stopped. Anju gives Mingfei a picture of Tang when he was still human, but Mingfei tells Anju to hold on to it. Just then, Anju gives Mingfei a letter from his parents. His parents congratulate him on his part in making the mission successful. They also add that they can't wait to be there for him on the day he graduates. This letter brings Mingfei to tears. After reading the letter, the principal asks Mingfei about the details of the mission. He says it was written in the report that after Caesar knocks Morton down, something attacked Nono, but she was miraculously healed, and Mingfei was also spared. Mingfei is about to answer the question when Ming stops him. Anju says it's okay if Mingfei is not willing to tell them what happened. Now at the dormitory, Mingfei and Finger are busy arguing when someone knocks on the door. They open the door and find Caesar. Caesar asks for salt before leaving. Apparently, Heezer and Zihang are now living in the room that is opposite theirs. Nono and Zihang's assistant Susie have also moved to the next room close to Mingfei and Finger. Nono has a short discussion with Mingfei, and it turns out that she doesn't even remember what happened. She only remembers Mingfei shoving her name and didn't have the slightest idea that Mingfei was the one that saved her. To put it short, only Mingfei knows the full details of what happened. Mingfei returns to his room and receives mail from an unknown person. He opens the package to find a phone. The phone has been sent to him by Mings to help in contacting him more easily than dragging him to Vision Land. The phone is also to monitor Mingfei, so he doesn't go back on their deal. Later on, Anju is going through Mingfei's 3E test answers. He sees that Mingfei drew himself sitting at a window beside Ming's. Anju recognizes Ming's, but he burns the paper and welcomes Mingfei to the academy once again.